We have had the confirmation that Nickelodeon is returning to Hollywood Arts to bring us the long-anticipated Victorious spin-off for today's time. We are in the era of the Nickelodeon and Disney Channel spin-offs, and I am so here for it, and we have been waiting for a Victorious spin-off now for over a decade. Considering Victorious never got a proper ending, and that its original spin-off Sam and Cat only lasted for one season, it's about time that we had a spin-off. We've already had the iCarly spin-off. I'm so glad we're about to get the Victorious spin-off. So today we're going to discuss everything that we know about this upcoming spin-off. Firstly, let's get the elephant in the room out of the way. No, Dan Schneider is not going to be involved in this production. After the controversy that came out over the past few years about Dan Schneider's behaviour on the sets of his shows, especially in the TV documentary Quiet on Set, it's pretty glad that Dan Schneider is not going to be returning and he won't be involved in this new version of the show, so it won't be a Schneider Bakery production. Then we have the fact that this show is going to be solely made by Nickelodeon, not a separate company. Now this is big purely because of the iCarly reboot, which was under the same umbrella as Victorious as Sam and Cat, but instead was made as an exclusive streaming original for the streaming service Paramount+. And there was a reason why it was made for this streaming service, and it's so that the characters could have grown up and become adults, and the show could deal with more adult content. It was aimed at adults and discussed themes of things like alcohol or drug use, stuff that it wouldn't have been able to do if it aired on Nickelodeon, and that lasted for 3 seasons in 2021. Since this new show is going to be made by Nickelodeon, it will be therefore airing on Nickelodeon, and so will likely be aimed at a similar audience that the original Victorious was made for, which means it likely will be a similar vibe to the Disney Channel reboots, stuff like Raven's Home, for example, which stay for the same original audience and don't grow up with that audience, which I personally think is quite a shame. So what will this show be about? Well, the lead will be Tori Vega's sister, Trina Vega, who will be returning to Hollywood Arts as a teacher. Daniela Monet will be the lead of this brand new show, which I'm so excited about. I think she's such a talented actress. And there has been rumours that this show will simply just be called Hollywood Arts, which I think is an interesting title and will focus more on the teachers' side of the operation at Hollywood Arts rather than the students, which I think is a really interesting avenue to go about. Now, the big obvious question is, how on earth is Trina Vega allowed to be back in Hollywood Arts, and how on earth is she allowed to be a teacher at Hollywood Arts, considering there is literally an episode of Victorious called How Did Trina Get In?
And true, how did she get in?
Even the characters in the show are confused about how a Trina with no talent ended up being in this art school, and the episode where Helen becomes the new principal, Trina Vega has to re-audition for Hollywood Arts and still doesn't get back in. It's only because Tori ends up bribing Helen that she ends up back in. So how on earth did they allow her to become a literal teacher? Did Sikowitz drink some weird coconut milk again?
Trina is in!
Well, I'm so intrigued as to whether they will keep Trina as this talentless character, or will they have changed her character slightly, made her develop a bit more, and we get to see that actually she has got a bit more talented over the years. So I'm really intrigued as to how they will bring her back. I reckon the pilot episode will be dealing with that big question, and I can't wait to find out. But of course the big question is, who else might return? Since this show is about the teachers, could we see the return of Sikowitz and Lane, for example? Both actors do seem quite up for it, and it would be so funny to see a situation where Sikowitz is having to work alongside Trina. But of course, what about the main cast? Well, this depends on what the cast are being brought back for. Cameos, I could potentially see lots of the cast members returning, but if they are going to return as a permanent character, I'm not necessarily sure lots of the cast will do that, purely because they would be returning potentially as teachers at Hollywood Arts. And Elizabeth Gillies has just outright said that she won't return if she has to play a teacher.
You know, we're not going to come back and play teachers. I'm not coming back and playing teacher.
However, many of the cast members have said they would return just to see their characters get a proper ending, because of course Victorious didn't actually get a proper ending.
Do you feel like that show deserves a closing moment? Closure?
Yes. That's something that I always said I would clear my schedule for.
Now, Victoria Justice has spoken in interviews about where she thinks Tori would be nowadays, and she would be up for playing that.
And maybe like still singing too, but I'd love to see her in like kind of like a Julia Michaels vibe. I would love that for her.
Matt Bennett still talks about Victorious all the time, and on his tour, he brings previous cast members like Ariana Grande, like Elizabeth Gillies, to join him on stage, so he's definitely still invested in the show. And Elizabeth Gillies has said she would return for this reason.
If they used the same kind of sets and they got the same people to do it, then I'd like it.
Now, the big one, of course, is Ariana Grande. Let's not forget that she was the main character of the only other Victorious spin-off, and that could beg the question of whether any Sam and Cat characters might return, like Dice or Goomer, for example. But Ariana Grande is, of course, the biggest celebrity to come from Victorious, and so with her busy schedule, would she find the time to return for Victorious? Well, interestingly, in 2017, she did tweet that she would be up for a reunion and linked all of the other cast members in her tweet. However, that was 2017. A lot has changed since then. Now, the cast are still quite close and do still have lots of reunions, so maybe if all of them were returning, they might return. And the big news in the acting world recently is that Ariana Grande has now returned to acting and is sort of prioritizing that over her music. In loads of interviews in 2024, she discussed how she wants to remain acting and focus on that. And since she's now returned on screen for the 2 Wicked movies, I definitely could see her doing a lot more acting work in the future. But whether that's Victorious is another matter. And the reason I say that is because I think this show being a Nickelodeon show will actually be its downfall and a detriment to this reboot. And that is because actors tend to not want to return to the child image of Nickelodeon and Disney Channel. It's why you see all of these teenage actors going basically crazy, because they're trying to get rid of that Disney and Nickelodeon child star image, and they want to do more mature and serious acting. With actors like Avon Georgia and Elizabeth Gillies, we've seen them recently do a lot more serious adult dramas, with Ariana Grande now being a literal nominated Oscar actress. Could you really see her returning to a Nickelodeon show after that? Because I don't think I can. I think she'd want to remain doing more serious and very highly acclaimed shows and movies. And then with actors like Leon Thomas III, he's just a massive, huge music producer now, so would he want to return to something like a Nickelodeon set? I just can't see any of them returning to a studio aimed for less serious acting because of the high status that they all have nowadays. So in that sense, I don't think any of the other main cast will return in this current moment, unless this TV show becomes massively successful. Then unfortunately I don't think I can see anyone returning. But regardless, I'm so excited to see the return of Trina Vega and see the return of Daniela Monet, and I can't wait for this Hollywood Arts spin-off show to come out and see what Trina Vega has been up to. And of course, I'm sure a lot of the characters will be mentioned regardless. But what do you guys think about this? Are you excited for the brand new Victorious spin-off? I know I am. Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments. And as always, we've been here on Gated Theories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.
Sitting lonely in my room again, acting like I'm innocent. Why do I try?